gentlemen, the king of horror, Stephen King.
I'm great.
Thank you very much for being here. We were watching clips today from Storm of the Century.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scary stuff. This is a...
You know the scariest thing about it?
What?
We have to finish up against ER.
You go up against ER on the last night?
Last night, yeah.
Oh, man. Sorry. That won't go well for you, you see. This is an interesting thing, though. You've combined... It's a combo platter of horror.
Yeah, there's a storm.
A horrible storm, a storm that only comes once a century.
Just before the storm hits, this homicidal creature shows up, and so he's there, the storm is there, and it's kind of a combo thing, but that's what good horror is. It's kind of a peanut butter cup. You've got your...
Horror is a peanut butter cup.
You've got your chocolate.
Yeah.
You've got your peanut butter. And they're both good, but when you add them together, you've got a whole new taste treat. See what I'm saying?
You're going to get a lot of these from the Reese's Company now.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Right. Have you've done this before then? You've combined scary elements, or you've thought about combining like scary things?
Yeah, usually you have to take a couple of things that are not related ordinarily. For instance, one thing that I haven't done yet, but I do have the copyright on this, okay? If you're thinking about it.
People in the audience were already starting to write this down.
Yeah. Well, I'm terrified of flying. You know, the last time we talked about the Langoliers because I'm really terrified of flying, and I'm also terrified of rats. So I thought of this story called "The Rats Are Loose on Flight 62." Okay. And now wait.
Yeah. I thought for a second you were going to say rat pilot.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. They were like piloting the thing.
Rat pilot.
Yeah. It's like, I'll go up and check on the pilot and see how he's doing. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. No!
That sounds like an NBC miniseries.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, part 1, Rat Pilot.
Rat pilot.
Yeah.
So wait, so you have... How many rats, just a couple of rats are loose on a plane?
No,
I didn't think so.
Got to be a lot. My idea is, okay, the flight from New York to London, you always get to this halfway point. I love that. The guy comes on the intercom and he goes, "We're at the halfway point, halfway between New York and London." And I'm thinking, I don't want to hear this because there's no way back. This thing has to go now because it doesn't matter whether you turn around. So you get to the halfway point.
You'd be a fun guy to sit next to on the plane.
I am.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, right.
We're going down, man.
What's that out there on the wing? So the stewardess, we get to the halfway point.
Right.
The stewardess opens the overhead bin to adjust something, and this rat falls out onto her face and starts to claw and bite, you know.
Right.
And then they're boiling out of the heads, and they're coming out of the... You understand what I'm saying, you know? But look,
rats everywhere.
Now, but wait, that's the rats. But
Right.
at the same time, severe turbulence. You understand what I'm saying?
Who cares about turbulence when there's a rat sucking your skull through your face,
Because
you know?
the rats get nauseated and start puking.
Yeah. There you go. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
But it would work. You know, half of these things sound like jokes until I get a hold of them.
Right.
You know, and the idea is you kind of twist it.
Well, you know, it is funny because I was thinking about that today. You have actually accomplished things that I wouldn't think were possible because sometimes
Conan.
you start off with saying, okay, it's a horror story about a really good-looking 1950s car,
That's
and you
true.
think it's such an innocent.
Or St. Bernard dogs.
Exactly.
Who could appear at the Westminster Dog Show on any night.
Right.
First you win the blue ribbon, then you eat the judges.
Well, is there anything, I was curious, is there any object that you, Stephen...
I like that, actually, I like that.
What, a dog show thing?
Yeah.
All right, but I get some of the profit. That'll hold up in court.
Right.
I get to judge. Is there anything that's just too innocent that even Stephen King, like a lazy boy chair, could you make a horror story about a lazy boy chair?
Sure. I mean,
it's just a nice lazy boy, so comfortable. What could possibly go wrong?
Are you serious? Do you want me to tell you?
Try, yeah.
Well, the thing is, you get in it, and you kick back, and you discover that you just can't get out because it's really little by little sucking you into another dimension where the rats are loose. Puking.
Yeah,
You see?
Eating Reese's Cups. What about that Blue Down Comforter?
Well,
That's the one you just can't do anything about.
you have to keep in mind the way that down takes in the germs. I mean, the germs are in there. They're growing to the size of land turtles, and you're sleeping in there. They're
Okay.
up your nose, they're down your throat, and there are other places where they're crawling up.
All right,
You
why?
understand what I'm saying?
I understand completely what you're
all right,
saying.
Okay, we don't need to go
I've
into it.
stayed in that
But
motel.
because it's my job, we could go into it. Yeah.
Right. Have you ever, you write a lot about the unknown, the supernatural. Have you, Stephen King, ever seen a ghost in your life?
Yeah, but you don't want to hear that story.
Yes, I do. Come on. Have you seen a ghost?
But I'm not sure anybody would believe anything that I have to say on the subject. It would be like David Duchovny saying, I saw a flying saucer. You know?
Right.
If I were David Duchovny and saw a flying saucer, I'd just shut the hell up about it. But
Right.
since you ask, I will tell you this story. I was at a fundraiser, a political fundraiser, and there was a room upstairs where somebody took and put the coats on the bed. And my wife and I got ready to leave, and I went upstairs to get the coats. It was wintertime, and by then there was a huge pile of coats, and I'm going through these coats, and I'm looking for my wife's, and I'm bent down like this. I wear these glasses, and over the tops of my glasses, I see this guy in the corner. He's wearing a blue suit, he's bald, he's got kind of that tan, bald head, you know, that look going
Little
for him.
couple of freckles on the head.
Yeah, that's right. And you saw him too, huh?
Yeah.
So I get the idea that this man is thinking, I'm going through these coats looking for wallets or whatever. And so I raise my head to say, gee, it's sure hard to find your wife's coat, isn't it? And there was nobody there.
He
And
just
that's-
left the room.
No, I saw him the whole time until I raised my head, and then there was just nobody there.
What
And
kind-
that's
he's-
the whole story.
What a
but you
crappy
asked for
ghost.
it.
He just looks at coats.
He was not a Stephen, he was not a Stephen King ghost at all.
Someday, they say, if the pile of coats gets real high, the old man appears
Comes
and
out.
looks at them, and then he's gone.
It doesn't really fly, does it? But you asked me for it.
Do you, I've heard that you don't like the number 13. You really don't.
I have got a thing about 13, and it's called triskaidekaphobia. And it isn't just being afraid of the number 13, not wanting to stay on the 13th floor in a hotel. You can't stay on the 14th floor either because, you know, they call it the 14th, but we know it's the 13th. Because they can skip the number on the elevator, but that doesn't mean the floor is not there. And then, you
They
know...
could have put the 13th on the 18th floor.
No, it
You
doesn't
can't stay in
work.
any buildings anymore.
No, it doesn't work. Don't get me going. Don't get me started. Okay? It's
Okay,
like
I'm sorry. Don't look
But-
at me that way.
you can't... What way is that?
Oh, I'm scared now. So you can't stay in a
Such a wuss. I don't believe it.
You're just figuring that out now. So you won't stay on the 14th floor. What other floors won't you stay on?
Well, no, that's the only one. You can't stay on the 14th because it's really the 13th. You're trying to confuse me, but I've been, you know, I know about 13. You can't stop on page 247 in a book because if you add up those numbers, you come up with 13. You see?
Wait a minute.
And you can say to yourself,
Yes, you do.
yes, that's right. Wow. 238, it's the same thing. You understand what I mean? The two bad numbers, as far as I'm concerned, are like 139, because that starts with a 13, and the three numbers add up to 13. And the absolute worst is 131. And I don't think I need to explain that, do I?
I want you to, but now I'm
Time is
scared.
short, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. So you have to actually think about all this stuff before you travel, right?
No, after a certain number of years of obsession, it's simply there.
Right. Well, a healthy approach.
A healthy approach, yeah.
Well, I got to mention Stephen King's Storm of the Century, which, as I said, we were looking at earlier today, looks very frightening. Airs February 14th, 15th, and the 18th from 9 to 11 on ABC.
It absolutely does, and I'm telling you what, ER doesn't scare me.
Yeah. Why don't you say that to Gloria Rubin? She'll be out here in a second. I told you to mention the novelization is in bookstores right now. People should
Absolutely.
check that out. And how many books was it again? 8 gillion? Is that many how you sold?
8 gillion is right, yeah.
That's a number you're not afraid of. Stephen King, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Stephen King, everybody. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. More dogs from the Westminster Dog Show.